Good morning, and before we get started this morning, I want to put out a brief apology, and that's because I haven't made any videos for getting on for 2 weeks now. And the reason for that is that I've been ill, and that actually led to me losing my voice almost entirely at one point, so I couldn't really record videos because I couldn't really speak. But my voice is back now, and you can probably hear it's a little bit crackly, but it is working, so hopefully I can get through this one. But anyway, less of that, let's get to the point. What I want to talk about today is Game Pass for PC, and specifically what games are on offer and whether it's value for money. I also want to compare it to Game Pass Ultimate to some degree, and look at which option's best for which gamer and so on and so forth. But I don't want to go into Game Pass Ultimate too much because I've already done a video about that, and I'll put a link in the top corner so you can click on that if you're interested in that one. Before we start though, I want to have a little moan about the Game Pass website, which you can see at the moment. And it's set up in such a way as to make it very difficult to work out what games are on what platform and, work out numbers. Initially, it would seem that the numbers are fairly straightforward, and we're in all games at the moment. And if you look just above the listing of games at the top here, it says viewing 1 to 200 of 332 results. And that basically means that there are 332 games total. However, it's not quite as simple as that. And though I have gone through and counted them all, and it does actually come to 332 results and 332 games, well, as I say, it's a little bit more complicated than that. If we go into console games, we've got a similar picture. We've got 242 results. I've counted it. Looks exactly the same. 242 results, 242 games, you would think. But again, more complicated than that. And I'll explain this in a minute. And with PC games, which is what we're particularly interested here, we've got 110 results. And again, I've gone through and I've counted them, and it is 110 games. But as I keep saying, it is more complicated than that. And if we have a look at all games here, and we can see that some games are, well, some games, if we go down here, we look at Astroneer. Some games have a single entry. And we've got single entry with an icon for the Xbox and an icon for the PC. So all well and good, you would think. Except for if we go up a little bit and we look at Abzu and Metal Slug X or Metal Slug 10, depending on how you want to say it, we've got two entries. And so we've got an entry here for PC and we've got an entry for Xbox, and same with Metal Slug. We've got an entry for Xbox and we've got an entry for PC. And as you can see, that would skew the results somewhat, because when you're actually trying to count, you have to work out which ones have single entries with two icons or double entries. And then when you get into games like Batman Return to Arkham, it gets even more complicated than that. Because if you look at Batman Return to Arkham here, next to it, we've got Batman Return to Arkham Arkham Asylum and Batman Return to Arkham Arkham City. However, Batman Return to Arkham Arkham Asylum and Batman Return to Arkham Arkham City are included in Batman Return to Arkham. So that's pretty confusing. And it gets even more confusing than that when you go into console games and you go to Batman and you look at it and you see that Batman Return to Arkham Arkham Asylum, Batman Return to Arkham Arkham City are there, but the compilation of the two isn't, despite the fact that when you go into all games, it's actually listed as an Xbox game or a console game. So why is it not listed under console games? Which, as you can see, it's not. But it gets even more complicated than that, because when you start getting into games like Hitman, where are we with Hitman? Hitman here. Hitman's episodic. So we've got all the episodes showing. And then at the end of that, we've got Hitman the complete first season. And so that makes things very complicated indeed. And if you look here, we've got Hitman the complete first season here and all the episodes. And when you go into console games and you go down to Hitman, you've got the episodes, but not the complete first season. So I don't know what's going on there. But it gets even more complicated when you go into PC games. Because if we go into PC games and you look at Brothers, we've got Brothers Tale of Two Sons, and that's showing as a PC game. But if you go into Crackdown, it shows as a PC game, and you've also got the icon for Xbox. So Brothers is showing as a PC game, but it's also showing, but Crackdown is also showing as an Xbox and a PC game. Whereas if you go into all games, Brothers has two entries again. So you've got the entry for Xbox and you've got the entry for PC. And then Crackdown has an entry where it shows for Xbox and PC, and then you've got Crackdown 3 Campaign for Xbox and Crackdown 3 Wrecking Zone for Xbox, despite, as far as I'm aware, them being contained in the full package. So I don't know what's going on there, but it does make counting this extremely difficult. And yeah, I've had a real problem trying to get through and work out what is going on. And I honestly don't know what criteria Microsoft are using to differentiate between games which have multiple listings and those which have icons denoting which platforms they're on. And I really couldn't work it out. I suspect it might be that those with multiple entries have a slightly different version on PC than they do on Xbox, but I don't know. And Microsoft aren't telling us. And when it comes to counting and working out exactly what games are on Xbox, what games are on PC, and what games are on both platforms, it makes it a real pain in the arse. However, if you do go through it with a fine-tooth comb, you can actually work it out, and that's exactly what I've done. So I went through and I counted the games that were just on PC. And the list I got was 34 games, and that should be up on screen for you to look at now. And, you know, it's not a bad little list, and it is quite a small list. 34 games is not exactly huge. But, you know, it's a decent list, and I think it's nice if you've got Game Pass for PC to have those, those games that are unique to that platform. But if we go in and we look at the games that are both on Xbox and PC, we also find that there's 73 games that are across both platforms, so that are on both Xbox and PC. And that gives us a number of, can you work it out? 107 games on Game Pass for PC. That's slightly less than the 110 that are listed. And you will find that is obviously replicated across console games as well. And, you know, it does make sense when you take away the duplicates. And we get it with games like Halo Wars as well. Halo Wars, if you look here, Halo Wars has got an icon for an entry for Xbox and an entry for PC. So it does take a bit of getting through and working it out. But, you know, as Grant pointed out on my Discord when we were talking about this the other day, there are a decent number of games on Game Pass for PC, and specifically a decent number of indie games in the list, you know, as well as the big Microsoft exclusives. And look, I know it's kind of moot talking about exclusives now with Microsoft and Xbox, but you know, we're going to have to get used to it, because the way things are going with Microsoft, they're not going to back away from this approach anytime soon. And Game Pass PC and Game Pass Ultimate just prove this. They're doubling down on this idea of trying to provide their games across as many platforms as possible. And, you know, whether this is going to be an attractive list for you or not will depend entirely on your gaming preferences. But the fact that most of the future Xbox exclusives or Microsoft exclusives are going to be coming to the service day one, and that means the PC service day one. You know, games such as Gears of War and Halo will almost certainly come to the PC service day one. And then you've got PC exclusives such as Outer Worlds, which I'm really looking forward to actually, and Age of Empires, which I used to play quite a bit back in the day, even though I was rubbish. And it seems to be a pretty attractive proposition, a pretty good value for money proposition, to be honest. And, you know, it's only $4 $4.99 a month, or £3.99 a month. And that gives you, 107 games, some of which are on Xbox and PC, some of which are unique to PC. And then when you factor in that, some of these games, well, all of these games have a 20% discount. So if you actually want to buy them, you can buy them at a 20% discount. And also some of the, as it says at the top here in the green little box, 10% off related game add-ons and consumables makes it even a better deal. So, yeah, for me, I think it's a pretty good deal. And I think if you've just got a PC, I think it's really worth going for. I do have one issue with it, though, one major issue with it. And that's that this is a beta. And, when you talk to other people, and I've talked to quite a few people about the service, there are problems with it. And people have had lots of crashes and lots of issues getting it to run. And I had to update Windows in order to get it to run. And then the other day it wouldn't load at all. So it's not a perfect service. It is in beta. And I don't know about you guys, but personally, I actually bristle at the very idea of being expected to pay for a beta service. And, back in the day, companies used to hire people and pay them to be beta testers. Now we're in a situation where we're expected to pay for the privilege of being beta testers. And personally, I think it would have been better while it was in beta if it had been free. And I know, look, if you're putting it out to the public as a beta, you're getting a lot more people to test it. But my argument there would be that if you're putting it out as a beta and you make it free, you're going to get even more people to test it. So it's in your interest to put it out as a free option in the first place. And, maybe, give it a price when it's actually released properly. That, to me, is the way things should be done. Nevertheless, that caveat aside, I actually do think it's still pretty decent value for money. The other downside, though, is that like Game Pass on the Xbox, Game Pass PC will have a rolling list of games. And that's where this 20% discount comes in, because obviously if a game is going off of Xbox Game Pass or Game Pass for PC, you can then buy that game at a 20% discount and carry on playing. My only worry there is that they mark the game up before it goes into the service. And then when you're paying your 20% discount, you'll actually not be getting it really cheaper. But, I don't think Microsoft will do that. I don't think they're quite as scummy as that. But we will see. The way I look at it is that if you have a PC and an Xbox, I think Game Pass Ultimate is the way to go. Personally, for me, it's one of the best deals in gaming right now, especially, and I don't know if it's still available when this video goes out, but especially if you can get that $1 deal or £1 deal. Because if you go out and you buy Xbox Game Pass for a year or 2 years, or you even buy Xbox Live for a year or 2 years, at the, I don't know, what is it, £40 a year, that's £80, and then you transfer it across to Game Pass Ultimate, you would then get Game Pass Ultimate for 2 years or more for around about £80, which is, for my money, that's a no-brainer. And you could probably even get it for less than that if you shop around. But if you've only got a PC, then Game Pass PC isn't far behind in terms of value. And, like I say, I have this issue with it being a beta, but as it stands, if they can keep the price around about what it is now, or just give it a slight hike when it becomes, completely live and open to the public, then it will still be really good value for money. And, it's only going to get better as more first-party Xbox games are released and Microsoft does more deals to get increased third-party support. So it's going to go from strength to strength. And as long as they don't increase the price significantly, it'll remain a good deal. I will be interested to see if the price goes up once it comes out of beta. And I do think it is crucial that they keep it low, especially in the beginning. They need to encourage uptake to the service. And if they can do that, then yeah, PC gamers have got a really good deal. And it's pretty much a no-brainer. It's got a good selection of games. It costs less than a cup of coffee. Well, depending on where you buy your coffee. and it'll only improve over time. So what's not to like? And as far as this bloody layout's concerned on here, well, I'll give them a pass for now. I can let that ride. I don't think Microsoft are trying to fool anyone with this. I don't think they're trying to make us think there's more games on the service than there actually are. I just think it's Microsoft being Microsoft and overcomplicating things as usual, because this is what Microsoft do. And, as Grant again said, he was talking about the app, but he said he thought it was designed by the people who designed the Xbox front end because it was bloody crap. And I'm paraphrasing him, but that was basically the gist of what he was saying. And I have to say, with the website, it looks nice and clean and functional, but when you get into the nitty-gritty, it's a bit of a pain in the arse, especially when you're trying to make a video like I am and you're trying to work out exactly what games are on what platform. But anyway, that's what I think about it. I think it's a good service. I wish it was still free while it's in beta, but, I'm not going to change that, and Microsoft certainly aren't going to change it. But what do you guys think? What do you think of this service? Do you think it's value for money? Do you think Game Pass PC has a good enough selection of games to tempt you? Will you be going with Game Pass PC, Game Pass Xbox, Game Pass Ultimate, or none of the above? Basically, do you think it's worth buying? Do you think it's worth the money? And as I say, let me know what you think about it in the comments, and let me know what you think about this webpage as well. And do you think that Microsoft are trying to pull the wool over people's eyes, or do you think it's just them cocking it up slightly? But anyway, that's me done. As I say, come and have a word with me in the comments and we'll have a chat about it. But in the meantime, I'm going to go and grab myself a cup of tea and try and rest my voice. And I'll speak to you guys in the next one. Bye.